Man comes supposing we live a land of happy juxtaposing. All that is all, this world is yours, if you will just suppose.
Greetings. It's good to see everyone. And I must say, that I still haven't got over just how absolutely gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Call me crazy, but it's the truth. But tonight I'm working on a small area. I'm going to tackle the nose. I want to go to bed. Make me think about an hour ago. Right in my head. Where am I go? Here's home. Never home. Yeah, stick to the toilet paper. See what happens. Oh my god. Oh my god. I tell you, you could glue together the space shuttle with acrylic if you had a mind to do it. Now I'm using very small amounts of paint. So I'm doing some really compound color mixes, and they're kind of exotic color mixes. And what I mean by that is I'm using some quin magenta and some quin orange and the like. And now that the base is down, I can wire in some color that I want to do a bit of structure with it. So to my head, me drink of an hour. I'll tell you, last night I was in here at 3 a.m. looking at the colors and deciding just how I was going to tackle this, because you rarely get an opportunity to do somebody like this. And I'll be honest with you, as a portrait artist, I was trying to think of somebody that is possible I can remember doing that had this kind of incredible look, and I can't even remember. Really, it's just without going on and on about it, it's just you rarely get an opportunity to find somebody like this for a model. You just don't. It just doesn't happen. And I spent a lot of time doing some sketching and different looks and whatnot, and when she sent me this picture, I just about oh man. Because truly, it just doesn't happen. There just isn't that many. You just don't get an opportunity like it. Now, without getting waxing poetic and all whatnot, it's incredible. And I spotted her in December, and I looked and I looked and I looked and I went, oh my God. I just about I just couldn't believe it. So I started sketching quite a while ago, and every time I do a sketch, I got closer and closer to what I wanted, and I finally pulled the trigger and went, okay. And I got one picture, and I did a bunch of sketches off it. I went, could it be? And now I don't mean this in a pardon me. Please don't misunderstand. I didn't mean this in like a creepy un-artist way. This is basically, I'm talking about the art. This is just the art. That's all I'm talking about. But you know, when you've done as many portraits as I have, I just cannot express to you how, when you find one that you say, oh my God, it's just like, I think it would be the same thing as finding gold, you know, like a gold mine or something. You go, oh my God, I found, because I think every artist has that, I don't know what you'd call it, maybe I think it's the same reason that Leonardo da Vinci had the Mona Lisa in his possession when he died. I mean, he found her, you know, like, and what the obsession wasn't, it wasn't an obsession. It was like, I found exactly what I want to paint, and that's what I think it is. It's an artist thing, and some people, like some artists, I think, you know, you never get that, but if you do, like, oh my God. And you keep looking and looking and looking and looking. And I mean, if you only knew the number of people over the years I've gone up and said, you know, I'm a portrait artist, can I use your portrait as a model to do a shot, and I've never been turned down, frankly. And I gotta be honest, I only really, most of my portrait art is all females. I have done males, but it doesn't do anything for me. Like, I just don't find the male form that beautiful, to be honest with you. I mean, not to say that there aren't people out there that do really nice work for males and whatnot, but not me. It just isn't my thing. Just isn't. So you can only imagine when I found her, it was like, God damn, I found it. I found it. Like the golden fleece, you know, like, God. And as I say, it isn't an obsessive thing in a weird way. It's an art thing. It really is. It's nothing more. But I just feel so lucky to finally found it. And it's taken me so long. Like, if you only knew the number of people I've looked at in terms of is that the one, you know? I just, I'm amazed. And it's one of those things you never stop, you never give up, you know? You keep looking and looking and looking. And I really think it's almost like a Da Vinci thing, you know, like, I think he found it, I think he got close a few times, like, the lady in the ermine, I think he was close, but it just didn't do it, you know. Not to say, I mean, it's not an absolutely beautiful painting, but I think he was looking, you know, and the looking is, and then he finally found it, and he painted her, which was the Mona Lisa. And in a way, it's a blessing and it's a curse, because I know what'll happen is this. I don't know when I'll ever be completely happy, so I'll end up probably doing it more than once. I just know that, which really isn't. It doesn't bother me, but I just know it. I know if you're not an artist, it probably sounds a little weird, but it's the only, as I say, the only thing I can think of that would be equivalent is if you found, like, if you were looking for it, that is, you found gold in them thar hills, you know. You finally find the one that you've really been looking for so long, and when you find it, you go, damn, I just feel like so fortunate to. And yes, it took a long time. Anyway, that's the feeling. So if you understand that, okay. If you don't, that's okay too. So I will not be finishing this until it is absolutely perfect. And you know, I think anybody who draws people actually has the same thing, because you know, I look through, I mean, how many artists, like, oh God, endless, you know, and I know when I spot it that they found that art, they found the image that they want and the model they want, and you know, you look through Franz Hals. I think for Franz Hals it was the Gypsy Girl, and I kind of think like a guy like Rembrandt, he actually never did find it. And I think in a sense it's a little sad. You know, he looked and looked and looked, but you can almost tell when they find it. Like Franz Hals is a good example. The Girl with the Pearl Earrings, another good example. They just knew it when they painted her. They paint them, you know, like it's almost as if. So why you got the gift, kind of, you know, that's it's the best way I can describe it. It's like, how come I can do this? And I think over the years you kind of go, what is it? You know, I mean, yeah, all the practice, all the stuff, all the obvious stuff, and you finally come to the conclusion that maybe there's a reason, you know, like maybe. I'm not religious in any way, so I'm not talking about that. But you start to wonder, is there a reason why I paint, or is there a reason why I got, how come I got this? How come? Like, and you start kind of wondering, like, what is it? Like, why? How come it's me? Like, and you start going, well, then you go through another stage where you go, okay, now that I can do it, and I've finally mastered the technique and all that stuff, why are you here? Well, maybe it's because there's something out there you need to paint, and it has to be sort of like immortalized or whatever. I don't want to make it sound too sounding weird, and I don't mean it's weird. It's just that, you know, you go through all this thought patterns, and you can finally you get to a point where you go, well, maybe there's something I have to paint, and it's got to be immortalized, you know, like, because nothing's immortal, obviously, but maybe there's something out there that I just have to paint, and then you start looking, and when you finally reach a point where you get to your skill level gets to the point where, okay, I'm ready, then you realize you haven't found the model. Ah! It's kind of sad in a way. Like, you go like, oh my God, now I. And you study the other artists, and just looking at them, you kind of know that they went through the same thing. And you can tell just by their work that, you know, like, what's just a job and what is more than that. And eventually you realize that, oh, I've got to find that model. I got to find her. And you start looking, and the looking goes on and on and on. I remember years ago, I thought I'd found her. And I did her portrait, and I'm talking a long time ago. This would be like 25 years ago, maybe. And it wasn't any mystery. It's just, she was a young girl, and she was working at well, young, I don't know, like 18, 19, 20, whatever. And she was working like at a hamburger stand. And I took one look and went, oh my God. It's her. And you know what? And I did her portrait. And I thought I'd found her. And it wasn't until a while later that I realized that no, I hadn't. That's one of the mysteries, you know, like, I found her and I really liked her portrait, but I realized, no, it's close, but it's not quite the one. And really, it doesn't matter where they are, it's just the face, like, you know, just. And you never stop looking. That's the thing. You just never stop. So then I'm on the damn internet, you know, like, and I get into Twitch, and I go, okay, and I'm just cruising along, and I'm just seeing what other people are doing. I snap open the page, and Jesus, there she is. I couldn't believe it. I went, oh my God, I think that's her. So I sketched and I sketched and I sketched and sketched until I finally decided, yeah, guess what, buddy? That's the one. But then you go through, oh my God, what if she doesn't want a portrait done? You know, like, because part of it is you want the person to. Like, I would never do somebody's portrait without that I actually know or have seen without going up and saying, would you mind if I did your portrait? I just wouldn't do that. I don't know. I think it's part of the process or something. And that's what happened. So you're going to see the best that I can do. And I gotta tell you, it's very intimidating. Because now that I found her, I have to paint her. Yikes. That little guy, the little paint god saying, don't mess this up. I'm trying not to. I swear to you, I'm trying not to. I'm trying, Bob. I'm trying. Honestly though, if you only knew, God, how long, and how many faces you look at over the years, like, oh my God. It's, thousands. Thousands and thousands. But it's, and to be honest with you, it's kind of funny in a way because it's been so long that I actually have kind of butterflies in my stomach. Boy, it's been a long time since I said that, and it's like you know you found her, now you got to do it. Oh.
met somebody with a heart and soul. Squeezed my hand and then I lost control. You went away too far and stayed away too long. You went away too far. You stayed away too long. You thought that you were right, but now you know you were wrong. You should have known the danger when you left me behind. 'Cause I'm the kind that must have love all the time. I need company, a little sympathy, a hug or two. When one is blue, we'll have things undone. I met somebody with a heart and soul. Squeezed my hand and then I lost control. Went away too far and stayed away too long.
Makes you wonder, though. I never used to wonder about stuff like that. I think as you get older, you just... patterns start to emerge, like... why do you do this? Or why do you do that? And Only have eyes for you. Tonight, oh, if it's wrong or it's right, only have eyes for you. And you, up in the sky, have eyes for you. I never knew that summer must stop goodbye. Feel you. So am I.
You are listening to Radio Dispute. RadioDispute.com. HappyMusicRadio.com.
If you're wondering what's taking me so long on this nose, it's because there are so many tones that are at work here that you gotta just get them lined up exactly right. And hell, it's not easy to do, you know. It's not like I just started painting yesterday, you know. Jesus, I'm telling you, it's hard to do. I mean it. It's got to be exactly right.
Something simple, a little ditty that's sweet and simple. You'll get the swing of the tune for here the tune that any child can sing. D stands for dimple, the words are silly, the song is simple. And after hearing it once the dum can demo drive the thing. You can't go wrong. All you say is bound to sound like some other song. G, but it's simple. So get I don't know whether or not you do. They call it classic I love you.
I get some underpainting here, so don't panic here. I didn't go close enough last night. See, this type of art takes layer after layer to get it exactly where you want it. And it just has to be done right, that's all. And by God, it's going to be done right. Get some cooler tones in there. If you only knew the color choices I have here. My God. I'm using colors that you normally don't see in a portrait. I mean, you see them, but you probably don't know you've seen them. But I listed them when I first started. And they're rather exotic colors, but all mixable. And then you screw up a bit by mixing the wrong color. Yeah, that'll do it. Toning is so important. You layer these colors on.
Radio Dispute is a listener-supported service of early 1900s music preservation.
To get the exact right tone.
Attention of new and appreciative modern audiences. If you enjoy the music we present and value the work that we do, please consider giving us a...
Now, bear in mind too, I'm doing this as a kind of a Dutch master painting. So the technique I'm using, and the reason I'm using the Dutch master is because to me they really nailed it. You know, like there's been great portrait painters, I agree, but I think the Dutch masters are the ones that really nailed it. They really understood. And who knows why? I mean, but again, there's the mystery, right? How is it? They just knew. And where did it come from? the style, you know? If I could figure that out, it would make the it would make the mystery a little bit less for me anyway, because I've never read anything that I really think they're on the money. And every a-hole's got a theory too, right? You read it, you go, oh yeah, right. No, that's not it. And there's always a possibility we'll never know. I do know one thing though. The camera obscura was very well used component. I do know that, because you can tell. And that, by the way, that I'm not saying that as a criticism. By the way, that's no criticism. Because the skill isn't that. The skill is the skin tone, and the fact that they had a whole country full of fabulous models. That helps. But see, they weren't looking for royalty or anything. That's why they painted. I know the common thing is they painted troons, and that's the thinking, but it's more than that. They picked out the subjects, right? In a way, it's a little bit, to me, was the same thing that happened with the Pre-Raphaelites when they broke away from traditional and started picking out the models. They looked and looked and looked, and they'd find them everywhere. Like Lizzie Settle and whatnot, they weren't royalty or anything. They were just young women who they spotted. Sometimes they spotted them in a market or something, you know, like. And they said, "Listen, would you consider posing?" And for the most part, they lucked out. You know, all of those guys. I mean, they were looking. It wasn't the position. It was the look. Dun, dun, dun. Dun. Mm-hmm. driving me crazy. Every time I lift my arm, I get stuck on that thing. The thing about acrylic is, you know, it completely dries, right? So you end up having to color match like non-stop when you're doing a acrylic piece. You gotta know exactly what color to use. Otherwise, you're SOL, believe me. In one way, it's a fabulous medium to use. In another way, it's a real challenge. Because unlike oil, you can mix it up and you can just play with the your mix, and it's good for days. But the acrylic, as soon as it dries out, you need to mix up that color again, and then you've got is it good? Is it close? Is it right? So you gotta know. And if you don't know, you're SOL. So in saying that, I think that's why acrylic is, well, I think that's the reason it's so hard to master. Because your color mixing ability has to be bar none. Like, you gotta really know. Which is kind of why this is the reason why I start people off in colored pencil when I'm teaching. Because whatever it is with colored pencil, you end up having a without really sitting down and learning it, you end up with a really good color sense, because colored pencil is all about mixing colors, right? So one layer on top of another and whatnot. And it really gives you without sitting down and bucklarn, if you know what I mean, it gives you that ability. And I find that people who go that route end up with much better color sense, which is what you want, because besides form, it comes down to color, right? I mean, color is the thing that has to be mastered. And there's lots of people out there who never master it. I mean, and they're artists. But they stick in muted colors, or I mean, I hate to say it, but if you use just muted colors, then all it means to me is that you haven't mastered the color chart. That's all. Because the light plays such havoc with color, and I don't mean to say that in the least that these people don't. Aren't good artists, really. It's just that, it's some people can do it, some people can't, right? Some people never get it. I mean, I think when I first started the show, I told you about I had a student one time who absolutely loved golf scenes, green, the beauty of the natural beauty of the course and whatnot. It wasn't until like the third lesson or something, I forget. He told me he was colorblind. I went, oh my God, it was driving me nuts. I said, what is wrong? Is it my instruction or what the hell is happening here? Then he told me, I went, oh my God. And he was obsessed, literally, with color. So I said, well, let's do, there's lots of stuff to do in graphite and whatnot. And nope, that's not what he wanted. So I had an impossible task. I had to lay out a chart for him to show me what colors he saw and how to translate them. Oh my God. But he was so obsessed that I had to do it. I mean, I just had to. I'd sometimes walk out of the studio into the gallery, and he'd be coming, and I'd say, how long have you been here? He'd say, oh, a few minutes, and because he'd come in quietly, and he'd be sitting looking at a painting, and it was always like the greens and the absolutely obsessed with it. And yeah, I didn't have any reason not to teach him. I mean, and he was a great guy. He's still a great guy. I talk to him once in a while. Scotsman. The Scotsman, you know. He's one of those guys that should have never left Scotland. And he was such a typical Scot, honestly. I don't know if you know Scottish people, but oh God, you gotta love them. Really. I mean, they're so direct. He'd come back from a cruise with his wife, and I think I told this story. He'd come back and told me this story about being up on the Lido deck, you know, and he'd gone up there and just found a nice lunch, nice chair, and sat down. The guy comes up to him and says, "Hey, what are you doing? You've got our chairs." And he goes, "Is your name on it, laddie?" He goes, "No." He goes, "Oh," he goes, "well, when you come up early, you put your towel on it, and that means somebody's taking it." And he goes, "Oh, it's all right. That's the way it is it?" And I goes, "Yeah, that's what you do." He goes, "Well, let me just speak to you for a moment right now." And he tells me, he takes him over to the railing, you know, like the railing. He goes, "Well, here's the deal. I'm going to throw you in the goddamn ocean if you don't stop bugging me." And I mean it right now. And when he said it, boy, there was no denying that it was definitely a possibility. So the guy scurried away. So I went back down, sat down. So I said, "Well, did you ever see him again the whole trip?" He goes, "Not once." I went, "Okay. I guess you got through to him then." He goes, "Oh, aye." I said, "Well, would you have thrown him off?" He goes, "Oh, I would have I was considering it. Oh my God. Braveheart, you know? Oh God. Can you imagine the guy going, I'm gonna throw you over a railing right now. Right now. And the way his delivery was like, oh man. There was no doubt you were going over the side. And, oh God. He told me, and I swear, I'm still laughing about it. And if you know Scottish people, that is not unusual. Tough as nails. My grandfather was like that. Oh my God. Tough as absolute nails. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun. Yep, almost lost it there. Fucked up there. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da.
Radio Dismute is now on Facebook. Find us at facebook.com/Radio Dismute.
Streaming the sounds of 1920s, 1930s, around the world, 24 hours a day. This is Radio
Dismute.
RadioDismute.com, HappyMusicRadio.com.
Boy, that's no way to talk to the good old days.
Da, 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 to you. Da 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 da. So I was asked why I use such a small brush on these paintings, and the answer is pretty simple. It's because the microtones are at least for me, it's the only way I can get the microtones in. And what I mean by that is that the toning changes so minutely that it's the only way I can get it in. There's no broad strokes, you know, like it's just, I don't know how else to explain it. It's the only way to do it that I can find anyway. If somebody can do it with a design number 12 brush, power to you. But I can't. Like even this little section down here, the cleft above her lips. I mean, there's about 5 different tones here I'm working on to get it just right, and I don't know how else to do it. You can't do it with a big brush. At least I can't. I just can't. So I don't know any other way to do it. There's just too many tonal changes in such a small area. And if it's this small an area, which is about, again, the size of a 50-cent piece, I don't know how you do it, but you know, if you get up and if you're getting up to a really, really high-end portrait, like a Vermeer or something, you can see where he used very minute brushes to get the look. You can just tell by the strokes. You know, he wasn't using a. I mean, look at the girl in the red hat. I mean, how the hell would you do that? I don't think you can. I mean, it's so small. There isn't any other way to do it that I can see. The brush just won't let you do it. It's too big. Too much. See, that's what I'm saying, right? Just no. I swear in the 1930s and 20s there was no such thing as not stealing from each other. He's completely stealing Cab Calloway's hit song, Heidi High. Unbelievable. I guess there was no such thing as copyright. No wonder they all looked for a new sound. You see why Glenn Miller was obsessed with finding a sound that was different. Because it simply meant that anybody who heard it would go, oh, that's Glenn Miller. And
I can't sleep all when my soul is sore. I can't go on when I'm tired and worn. I know that I can't stop that river flow. I can't hide when I'm feeling low.
it's terrible.
To every family thinking of getting a new car this year, here is news. The 1934 Oldsmobile is priced so low that 9 out of 10 who are buying a new car can afford it. The new straight 8 is a bigger, finer car than last year, yet the price is the same. $845 and up FOB Lansing. In this time of rising prices, isn't that news? Well, here's more. Oldsmobile invades below price deals with a big new all-feature 6. It's priced at $640 and up FOB Lansing. Only a few dollars more than the lowest priced car. This new low-priced 6 will soon be on display. The new straight 8 is ready for you to see and drive now. Both new Oldsmobiles have been engineered with all the features a 1934 car must have to be completely modern. Knee-action wheels, center control steering, ride stabilizer, super hydraulic brakes. Call your nearest Oldsmobile dealer for a ride in the car that has everything, but is not like everybody.
Da, 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 Now somehow I gotta get some lighter tones in here without compromising the shadow work. Wish me luck. Believe you me, this is not an easy portrait to do. Especially since I've laid such a pressure thing on myself. Crazy, but you rarely, as I say, you rarely get this. See what I'm talking about? The small brush, you just can't get that. You just can't get it unless it's... I don't know how you do it with a big brush. Just too many micro changes. Like it's just I don't know how you do it. This kind of painting anyway, I mean, Sure, if you're painting loose or something, it's okay. You get away with it, but not this kind of painting. And that is not to say that loose painters aren't fussy painters. It simply means that you can just put a blob of color in and it'll work for you. But when you're getting really fine tones, you can't do that. Da 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 Letters in the sand. If anybody remembers Pat Boone with his huge hit, Love Letters in the Sand. Now you know where it came from. 1930s. That's what I'm saying. Copyright may not have been existent back then. I'm just taking it too far now, but and to all you Pat Boone fans, I'm glad you like him, but this big song was simply a remix of this one. Da 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 da. Pass the night away, singing love in the sand. Da 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 da. Night away, I don't know if Pat Boone's still alive. I think he is. He's old, but he's still alive, as far as I know. I pass the night away, singing love letters, the sand. So now I'll go in and tone this down a little bit. Okay. da, da, da. Da, 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 da. I want to tone down here with the glazing to the highlight on the nose. Where did I just do that? Come on. Oh, there it is. Okay.
You are listening to
On
Radio
a day like today, I pass the time away, writing a lovely letter. Da 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 da. Da, 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 da. I'm gonna let this dry on top, just to get that tone in, and hopefully that'll work. And if it doesn't, then I'll go back and give it another shot. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. I'm not really happy with the tonal range there, though. So I'll give it a little bit of a darker tone there.
You have me spellbound, bewildered by your charm. Heaven or hell bound, I must be in your arms. Tell me now I'm only moving on. Or is this really long? Each time you
Da, 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 da.
so hard to realize. Tell me now I'm
Oh, oh, oh.
what is this really long? What is this thing? Attracts me, just like a mysterious game. What is this strange new flame? I cannot see through rain. Oh, I am Delta, I just can't see the light. Will it last forever or only one night?
Da, 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 da. Oh, take it easy, everybody.
Really long.
What's about you so making a dude with armors any tips? What's up, Galaxy? So I'm making a dude with armor any tips? Yes, buddy. Where are you? God, oh good. I caught you in time. Yeah, just send me oh, serious graphite paper? Yeah, oh, God, I use, oh, Jesus, what's the name of the bloody stuff? You'll have to wait, I want to do only one, but on canvas kind of sucks, so I need a better lead. Okay. Let me think about this. Yeah, if you're gonna do armor, first of all, let me answer the first question. If you're going to do armor, you got to lay out a whole bunch of blues, cobalt blues, and Payne's gray, and green, and use transparent white to glaze over them. Oh, you're using oil. Just oil, water down your whites, and put lots of. Remember, you're working to one point where there's a highlight. Okay, so really analyze it in terms of what you do is you take a little piece of paper and cut a square in it, not a big one, maybe an inch, and lay it down over the area where you want to paint, and just look at the tonal range in that little area, and that'll help you a lot. Yes, you can link me. Just send it to me at artmart1950 at Gmail. Artmart1950. I think you have that. Just give me a sec, buddy. I gotta go to the camp. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. Hold on a sec. Let me dig in here and see what the hell this stuff's called. All right. Oh, for God's sake, where did I get that? Well, that's a watercolor paper. Marker paper. There it is. Okay. Okay, this is what I use. This is what I use. It's, can you read that? Number 15 Bond sketch paper. It's 70-pound paper, and it's made by Borden and Riley, and that's what I do all my graphites on. And I find it's good because it's 70 pounds and it gives you a nice tooth to render really beautifully. Which is you want okay, Borden and Riley 70-pound paper for graphite. That's what I use. And it's really good paper. And your link is good for some serious graphite, yes. Yeah, it's good paper. And yeah, if you want to cut it in half, you can. It's big enough. What else did you ask me? Armor and paper. So Borden and Riley paper. And don't forget that little trick I just mentioned to you. Take a little square of paper, cut like ½ an inch square out of it, and lay it over your reference stuff, and just look at the tones inside the reference stuff when you're doing armor. And that'll give you an idea of the kind of tonal range you'll need. But if you're doing it in color, those colors I mentioned, Payne's gray, and you need, believe it or not, a little bit of a glaze of green underneath the silver. Don't ask me why, but it works like a charm. Like a sap green or something like that. Just the tiniest hint, though. I can't remember why it works. It gives you, when you put the other colors on top of it, the Payne's grays and whatnot, it comes through a little bit of like a bluey color, so it's that steel gray color, and it really, really works good. I mean good. I mean like so good that well, that's how I do it. I think somewhere I've got I did Cortez and Pizarro with our full armor on. Where the hell is that now? If I can find it, I'll send you over a link to it to take a look at the armor, see how I did it. But that's great paper. Great paper. And that's how I do it.
If you enjoy the music we present and value the work that we do, please consider giving us your support to whatever degree you're able. Your contribution will not only ensure that the music continues to play for your own enjoyment, it will also be passing on a priceless gift to all those who have discovered this wonderful music for the first time.
Artistic. If you notice there's not as many people on Twitch lately, I don't know what the hell it is, but it's kind of like a drought or something. I don't know. I just find that there's not that many people watching. I don't know if it's just me, or if it is, that's okay, but I'm just watching. I'm just wondering. Because I've noticed it lately. I don't know what it is. Since the weather changed, I guess. That last picture I saw you do, your oil painting is coming really nice. You've got a real, you have a real nice touch with oil paint. So keep it up, for God's sake, don't stop. Like, don't get sidetracked, and if you get really stuck on something, just let me know and I'll help you out. But I just love that painterly touch you got, and you know, you've got it naturally, which is just luck of the Irish. Are you Irish? Maybe it's Because it's the luck of the Irish when you get that.
Since you went away, been downhearted since we parted.
But if you're not Irish, it doesn't matter. But it's the same luck, I guess. It doesn't really matter.
Things are cloudy, oh so
Honey.
cloudy.
I don't know if you know this girl. Her name's. She's on the Twitch. It's Pink Epoxy, and she's a good young artist too. And I'm telling you, I've been looking for a face like hers for so long that it's just ridiculous. And when she consented for a portrait, I went, oh, thank you, God. And if you're wondering, by God, I mean the flying spaghetti monster. So. And this is going to take me some time to do, because you rarely get this. And it's going to be my best effort. Scott was telling me you were on really early. Was it yesterday? He was watching you. You went on during the day or something, really early. And I take it. Well, you know me, I only do women anyway, so that's one of the advantages of getting old. You can be picky, right? I mean, I'll take a commission, but you know, well, that's okay. But besides that, no. What the hell do I want to paint guys for? I mean, really. There's so many beautiful women out there. Why paint guys? I just don't get it. But anyway, that's okay. Other artists can paint guys. Me? No. For me, it's the perfect. Perfection is the female. He doesn't get nicer than that. For me. So that's kind of all I do. And again, no, don't get me wrong. I don't turn down any commissions. So. I don't turn them down, but you know, I'll be honest with you, my heart's just not in it. You know, like, I know it sounds bad, but you know, I do them. I don't shirk or anything. I mean, I do them as well as I possibly can, but I'm always waiting for somebody to go, well, you know, there's no passion. I go, no, there's none. None. Whereas females, completely different story. I just love painting women. And really, it doesn't matter if they're young or old or whatever. It's just females. Just that's my thing, bud. That's my thing. No apologies. That's what it is. I'm looking for a dark color here. dun, dun. Oh, damn it. Damn it. Yeah, I screwed up. Too thick a line, but that's okay. I can fix it. This is the line I wanted. Da, 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 da. I like painting animals, but I got bored after only. Well, I will do it on commission, but I don't paint animals, and the reason is it's a variation on a theme. You know, I'll tell you a little secret. I used to do, well, a lot more of them than I do now, which is virtually none, unless it's commission, as I say. But for me, I'm talking about when I'm painting for me. When I say none, it means me. That's all. And the reason is it's always a variation on a theme. You know, like once you learn how to do fur and you can, you know what I mean? It's. Oh, I know. I'll tell you a little secret. Shit, I hope nobody's watching this who's got a commission off me. But anyway, you know, people would bring me their purebred dogs, right? Like, let's say a beagle or something. Something like that. Like a beagle or any kind of German Shepherd. It didn't matter. And I'd say, sure. Oh, nice dog. Yeah, right. So I take a whole ton of pictures and do a couple of sketches and stuff like that. And the minute they left, I had this book. It was called, I don't have it anymore, but anyway, it was called like Pure Breed Dogs or something like that. I'm just talking dogs right now. So anyway, so I would get the book out that had the most beautiful purebred dogs, like the winners of all these competitions and all this stuff. And I would paint that dog, whatever it was, whether it was whatever the breed was, I would paint it. And I never, in all the time I painted commissions, ever had anybody say to me, that's not my dog. Because everybody thinks their dog's perfect, right? It wasn't even their dog. But that's my point, you see. Like, it's always variations on a theme. It's you know, if you take 1,000 beagles and you put them in a field, find yours. You know, just point it out. Good luck. You know, like, Jesus. They're dogs. I mean, you know, cats are kind of the same, right? Show me an ocelot, and I'll show you 1,000 ocelots. Or find the one. You know, like. It used to just kill me. Like, I go like, oh my God. You have a beautiful animal. Uh-huh. Just don't let anybody know my secret. But that's the secret. I noticed this concept, probably the most important lesson out of the series. Yeah. Yes, of course. I go, oh God, you've got such a beautiful animal. How do you live with yourself, you know? You go, oh my God, every day you wake up, you've got this gorgeous, beautiful animal. And that's truthfully how I did it. I had this book, and it was show dogs. And every breed of dog was in the thing. Every breed of dog. And I never had an unhappy customer. Because I figured out, like, you know, dogs is all about personality. It's not about the look, because they all look the same. Well, not every dog is the same, but I mean, the breeds, you know, the difference between them is it's negligible. And I proved it over and over again. Over and over and over again. But I really got sick of it, really. I mean, power to the people who do animals, really, but I just find it became so rote, you know, like one German Shepherd is any other German Shepherd, you know, like. And I also found it was weird too, is people who own mutts never got them painted. Never wanted a portrait of it. Then I realized, you know, that people buy these breeds for status symbol, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, but that's what the breeding thing's about. Status symbol. What do you own? Oh, you own that. Oh, wow. That's amazing. What an amazing dog. Needless to say, though, I had a dog for a long time. She was a golden lab. Jesus. I love that dog so much. So much so I can't get another dog. I just can't do it. I don't. Christ, I felt more pain when that dog died than I've ever felt in my life. Sad, but true. You get so attached to them, you know. And I've never had a dog since. Mind you, she lived a full dog's life. She was like 14 or something when she died. So it's not as if it was a tragedy or anything like that. I mean, that's how long the dog lives. But oh man, it hurt. Jesus, it's awful. Kind of put me off pets, period, to be honest with you. No, I never painted her. I thought, you know what, I'd paint her at some point, but when she died, I just couldn't do it. I know it sounds ridiculous because, you know, a grown man pining over his dog, but I don't know. I never painted her. And yeah, to be honest with you, I'm glad I didn't. Because every time I look at it, it would be Memory City, you know? I know it sounds ridiculous, but that's kind of what it's like. It's like mourning, you know? I'm in mourning. And she's been gone a long time now. I don't know what it is. What really? I'm really not that kind of person, but I don't know what it is. She just touched something. It's not as bad as it was, but I'll tell you, it just so completely threw me for a loop that you know, because there comes a point where you have to decide where they live or they die. Well, they're going to die, you know that, but at the end, I've always kind of been mad at myself because I should have let her go earlier than I did. But I tried everything under the sun to keep her longer, and that was really selfish because at the end she was, I don't know what it is about dogs. Especially when they really get to you, you know, like, she was my dog. Oh, God. Like I said, I've never really gotten over it. I can't have a dog. It's pathetic, but it's true. Oh, God.
Dismute is now on Facebook. Find us at facebook.com/RadioDismute.
Streaming the sounds of the 1920s.
And my kids have dogs, and I like them. But they keep saying to me, why don't you get a dog? No. And really what I'm saying is I don't want that pain again. Years ago, I was watching, I don't know if you remember who this is, but Johnny Carson. Johnny Carson was a talk show host. And this is a long time ago. So. Anyway, he had Jimmy Stewart, the actor, on. And Jimmy Stewart came on. And Jimmy Stewart used to write poetry. Not as a professional or anything, he just liked it. And he read this poem about his dog that just died. Honest to God, Carson and him both teared up. And I went, what the fuck is that all about? And I never understood it. Well, I understand it now. I completely understand it. It's sad, but it's true. And she didn't die, don't get me wrong either, she didn't die tragically or anything. She died of old age. You know how you hear about people who dive into rivers to save their dogs and stuff? That's kind of what it was like. You know, like, and they drown and the dog makes it. That would have been me. I'm telling you. It would have been me. I just couldn't imagine. She was a yellow lab. And the worst food thief you ever saw. I never saw a dog that could steal food like her. And she slept with me every night. And she was the worst bed hog you ever saw in your life. If I could tell you the number of times I woke up in the morning and her ass was right in my face, and I'd go, oh God, please no. Pathetic. You know, like you go, oh my God, I've been smelling dog farts all night. Oh no. Oh God. But if there'd been a way to save her, I would have taken it. But, well, I don't mean save her. You couldn't save her because she was dying of old age. But if there had been a deal with the devil or something, I would have taken it. I know it sounds crazy, but that's how attached I was to that dog. When she was a puppy, she loved to go outside. And I'd take her out. And she only had little wee legs, right? When she was just a little puppy. And I used to take her for a walk, and I carried her. She'd walk about 100 yards, and her little legs weren't. She was like out of steam because she was too little. And I'd carry her the rest of the walk. Oh my God. People would look at me like, are you for real, man? You're taking your dog for a walk and you're carrying her? Yep. Yep. And she loved baseball. She used to sit and watch baseball with me nonstop. And you know what? I didn't even like baseball that much. I just did it because she liked it. I know this is starting to sound crazy, but this is what happens when you get so attached to an animal. And it was really weird too. If I thought about taking her for a walk, she'd show up right at my feet with her chain, like her leash. I never figured out how she knew that. I never did. How in God's name did she know I was thinking about that? But she'd show up right there, stamping her feet, you know, like. It was like ESP or some fucking thing. I don't know.
You can throw bricks at my window. You can put tags in my shoes. You can squeeze the wrong glass on my applesauce, but you can't stop me from loving you. You can put rocks in my pillow. You can put sand in my stew. You can be as aloof as a Chrysler roof, but you can't stop me from
Loving you.
You can't sneer at my devotion.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, you just get so attached to them, you know. It's just Oh, really? I know you get so attached to an animal. It's just... I've had cats, but I never had that attachment like that. Mind you, I had her for almost 15 years, so... I never had a cat that long. I did have a cat, though, that was a genius. I remember that. God almighty. This cat, this is a long time ago, but this cat was so smart that when we went away, all I did was leave a box of tender victuals on the counter in the house. And she would open the box herself, take out one at a time, and eat them. I never saw anything like it. And I never figured out how she figured that out. Actually, it wasn't a she, it was a he. I never figured out that. How the hell did it know how to do that? And sometimes we'd come home and she had opened the fridge, and I still don't know how she did that, but she had opened the fridge and help herself. I just never figured out how the hell the cat figured all that stuff out. I never figured it out, but I'm sure there's some rational explanation. But stuff that cat could figure out, I never saw anything like it. But you know, the artistic acoustic, he's got cat. He's the same way with his cats. Same way as I was with the dog. Just crazy about it. And I understand it completely. Anyway, over the summer, you gotta get your butt out here and we can do some oil painting, man. Give you some tips. Outside painting. Oakville isn't that far. You gonna do a still life? That's a good idea. They're always fun to do. Just make sure to take a picture of it. Like when you say, oh, hi.
That means that your motor is going to take punishment too. Well, here's an easy way to find out the truth. Drive into your nearest gasoline station.
When you set it up, take a picture of it. So if something changes or the light changes or whatever, you can... It doesn't throw off your painting. Trouble is the light changes like all the time, right? So if you don't do that, you end up chasing the shadows, which is no fun, especially with a still life. Chase those shadows, chase those shadows, da, 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 da. By filling your tank with that good Gulf gasoline. 40,000 service stations are ready to serve you. No, what I'm saying is about the still life. You got to take a picture of it when you get it set up exactly right. And that way, you keep your original setup and the light the way it is you're going to paint it. Because if you don't do that, then if you're setting it up, the light changes like during the day, right? So what happens, you start seeing things that have longer shadows than they're supposed to have, and it kind of screws it up. So if you have a photo reference of the light the way you set it up, then you're way ahead of the game. Then that doesn't happen. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Trust me, been there, done that. Long time ago now. I don't do many still lifes anymore. I used to do some of those too, but I just paint what I want now, basically. Except for commission stuff. And even then, I don't take every commission. I just can't be bothered anymore. The trouble is it's kind of people, you know, like people's expectations are sometimes they're so wacky, you know, like I'm not painting that, you know. I paint it the way I see it. Now I didn't do that always, don't get me wrong. I was painting strictly for moolah. Whatever they wanted was okay with me. But as I get older, I find that I'm not as I'm pickier now. It's got to be something I agree with what their vision is, and if they don't say to me, just paint it the way you see it, then I'm a little testier, I guess. So if they piss me off, I just say, go find somebody else. It's true though, I haven't done a still life in a long time. And when I did do them, I usually did them in watercolor. I think that's why. I haven't painted watercolor in a while, but I got one sitting on my table here I gotta do. It's a commission. I've been stalling them off, so because I'm not in a watercolor mood, but I gotta do it. I don't know what it is. I go from medium to medium, you know. And all of a sudden I decide, no, time to move on to something else. And then it happens. But until then, oh man, it's like pulling teeth, right? I'll do it, but I wouldn't normally And be honest with you, my favorite thing to paint in watercolor is nudes, because I find you can really I know how to really get skin tones the way I want them. And oh man. And I modified a technique for watercolor nudes, which was underpainting with watercolor, or acrylic like it was watercolor, and I underpaint it like grisaille, and Jesus, the skin tones, oh my God, they come out so nice. It just, and I really like painting the nudes. And I don't mean like models and stuff. I just mean nudes. They don't have to. Well, I'm not going to paint Jabba the Hutt, but I'm just saying that I like painting nudes, female nudes. That's in watercolor. That's like my favorite subject to do. And when I figured out this technique to do that, oh man, oh man, oh man. Well, it is hard if you don't know the tricks. You know, like, I know all the tricks, so I could show you, and it makes things a lot easier, but you have to really be thinking translucency, right, when you do watercolor. And I've done tons and tons of watercolors. And that's what I'm saying. When I get a little tired of the opaque, I go right into watercolor. And I really enjoy it. But I got to be in that mood, right? Now I do. I didn't used to be. I just paint anything that came along. Whatever they wanted in, it was okay with me. But then you get older, and you get pickier, I guess. But yeah, it is hard. But if you use good paint and, well, if you use good paint and know how to do it, it's not as hard as some people make out. I think people have a problem with it, basically, if they're doing it, is they're trying to make it opaque, and you gotta keep thinking watercolor is translucent, right? And you've got to use the paper to build that translucency, which is hard to do if you're like an oil painter or acrylic painter. And, you know, it's just hard because it's a different mindset, right? I've probably done 1,000 watercolors. And I'd say a third of them were nudes. Tons and tons and tons. Because when I discovered the technique to do it, oh man, there was no holding me back. I was just on a roll. It was like I was like a kid in a candy store. I found the magic bullet, you know, like, to do them. And it wasn't that. I don't know anybody else who does it like that, like I do it. I know the purists don't like it, because I've had that argument a number of times. Well, you can't call it watercolor then. Sure I can. Watch me. It's a watercolor. Oh, God. You get these people, you know, who are just... they're so tied up in the process that they can't see the trees for the forest, you know? They think there's rules, and there's no rules. Whatever works, works. That's just the way it is. If it works, it works. So finally, I just stopped arguing. Just said, yeah, you do it any kind of way you want. The trouble is that the people who really learn those techniques, they won't divulge, you know. They won't say how I do this, because the truth is, no matter when it's finished, nobody knows how you got there. No, that's the thing. How'd you get there? Oh, watercolor. Just watercolor. And I'm not adverse to doing some gouache on it or anything. Anything that makes the picture better at the end, I'm okay for. Whereas there's a lot of people who won't follow that dictum. It's all about the process. I never really could understand that. Because it's all about the rendering, right? Like, what are you doing, right? Da, da, da. Just like I do these acrylics, like it's micro layer after micro layer. It's constant build-up of color till I'm happy with the results. And I think it works just fine, but believe me, I've got people who will say, "Oh, that's not how you do acrylic," right? Oh, really? Okay. You get these artistic arguments going. I used to indulge them, but I don't anymore. I just say, well, I can't be bothered. Anything you think is good, then you go ahead and do it. That's my maxim. Makes you happy? Go for it. Just don't tell me how to paint, because I do know how to paint. One thing I know how to do is paint. I may not know how to do a lot of stuff, but one thing I do know. And I don't understand why there has to be these rules, right? What's the rules?
You are listening to Radio Dispute.
Right, if there was rules, you would have never had a Caravaggio or a Rembrandt, or they broke all the rules. And even Van Gogh, in his own way, he broke all the rules. All I know is what works, and if it works, I'm good. The rest of it can go to hell. Sideways. It's my observation over the years that people who are too caught up in the rules really aren't very good painters. They explain away their inabilities by saying, well, I have to follow these rules. Well, that's really stupid, in my opinion. Why would you do that? You know? Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what you do. If it works, do it. Because out of that, and that's the watercolor thing. That's how I discovered the technique. I went, yeah, I'm sure I'm going to try that. I went, holy shit. Does this ever work good? And I've never seen anybody else do it. I mean, maybe they do. I don't know. But rules were meant to be broken, man. Only in art they call them techniques. Well, I know a great technique. It's called breaking the rules. The only medium I really don't like is oil pastel. Just can't stand it. I don't mind the paintings, but God, I just hate using it. I've done it over a few times, but oh, I just said, screw this. It wasn't until I get down to Belize that I found out that this song was a song about a cockroach. Can you imagine? All the years I've been hearing this song, I didn't know it was about cockroaches. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. The cucaracha. Who knew? I want this skin to have such a glow on it that it's just, it's like it's got an inner glow, you know, like it's taking a lot of, oh, what I don't like about oil pastel is the mess. The same reason I don't use charcoal. It's the mess. It bugs me. That's all it is. It's the mess. I don't like the blending pattern. I don't mind. I like looking at it. And chalk pastel. Oh God, I did chalk pastel for years, and then I had to stop using it because I ended up getting conjunctivitis in my eyes from the chalk. And I haven't done it since. Sad too, because I've got Rembrandts and like good pastels. I had just basically had to put it all away and say that's it. I did pastel. Oh my God! In fact, most of the portraits I used to do were pastel. In the early days, that's all I did. They were fast, effective, and I've still got a couple. I did a Raphael of a fresco that I did. What I'll do is I'll post it on Instagram so you can see it. I still have it. I still think it was probably one of the best pastels I ever did, though. That's why I kept it. I used to rent it out, but I don't do that anymore. People would rent the painting. I used to do that. The trouble is that they'd come back and there'd be a mark on them or on the frame or some damn thing, right? And you go like, oh Christ. One of my oil paintings, I had it rented out for 5 years, if you can believe it. 5 fucking years the guy had it. I made some good coin on that though. He paid me like $60 or $75 a month. I can't remember what, but times 60 months, it was a good deal. And I got the painting still. In fact, I think what he was going to buy it, but what happened is the firm went belly up. He was the president of an engineering firm, and they went out of business. And I think his plan was to buy it through the firm, but oh, whatever. I'm kind of glad in a sense because it's one of my A-level oil paintings. Yeah, I rate my paintings for price, because it wasn't cheap. I mean, the deal was that he could rent it, and the price was 30 grand, and whatever he rented it for, he could take off the price. So that was the deal. And I think that's why I always figured he was just going to buy it, but it went out of business, and I guess money was tight or something. But I got the painting back, which, to be honest with you, I was just as happy to get it back because I hadn't seen it in 5 years. And I sold a lot of prints of that painting too, but I didn't have the actual painting, but now I got it back. So I've had it back for a while. That was a long time ago. But I made some good coin. But in a sense, it's good because I can still sell it for the original price. So. But I'm not going to sell it though. I want it. I like it. It was a painting I did about 25 years ago. And I always thought it was one hell of an oil painting. I mean, sometimes you really hit the ball out of the park, you know? And that particular painting, it was a home run. And when it's a home run, you don't necessarily want to part with it, you know? Which I know is like the antithesis of a professional artist, but no, you know, I've sold lots of paintings. My biggest seller ever, not seller, but print-wise, was a watercolor. I've sold, I can't even tell you how many prints of it.
Radio Disc Music is a listener-supported service of early 1900s music preservation, a non-profit organization devoted to bringing the great forgotten music of the
Well, I'm about as far along as I get in glazing on this for tonight.
the music we present and value the work that we do. Please consider giving us your
And tomorrow night, I'm going to work on the eyes.
contribution
I think she's looking okay.
for your own enjoyment.
Conjunctivitis, yeah.
All those who discover this wonderful music.
Oh, well, you better warn them then. It's the dust in the air. And what happens is the minute particles of the dust, you can develop an allergy to it. And I did. Because the binder is chalk, right? And the particles are so minute that it's... I came down with this constant eye infection. I didn't know what the hell was going on. And so I spent, oh God, like 2 years going to the eye doctors and all this shit. And finally somebody said to me, like, okay, well, what do you do? Like, I said, well, I'm an artist. And they said, well, what do you use? And I said, pastel. They went, really? Well, let's look into that. And they did and said, well, there's your problem. And I went, oh no. I do most of my portraits in pastel. So it really, really threw me. And, but you got to be really careful. I would wear dust-proof. If I had known, I would have worn dust-proof goggles when I was doing it, and then I would still be doing it. But I can't go near the stuff now. That fine particulate matter in the air is what does it. And man, it was awful. And it got worse and worse and worse. I was like, maybe I just have to stop painting. I just can't take it anymore. And there's no escape. Once you get something in your eyes, there's no escaping. You just you got to sort of just suck it up and live with it. And when they found that out, I gave up pastels right away. But Jesus, it put a dent in me in terms of because I used to be able to knock off a pastel portrait like, oh man. Fast. And I just had to stop completely. And there was no escape. That's what it was. And the minute I stopped using it was the minute it went away. Conjunctivitis. Well, buddy, I'm done for tonight. That's all she wrote. Dunzo. Oh shit, that came through again. I'm Dunzo, but I'm not. Here, hold on. I got a little patch of skin tone there I don't want. I only see it when the water dries off it. Yeah, make it difficult. Wait a minute. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. I'm going to put some titanium on it to get rid of it. Oh well, that's okay. Anyway, as I said, that's it for tonight, and thank you for watching. It's good to hear from you, Artistic, and we will return tomorrow. Tomorrow. And she's coming along just fine. Happy so far. I'm going to put the eyes in tomorrow so she's looking at it, because it's the mouth is really going to be the key to this painting. The key. So far I'm happy with the skin tones. That underpainting really is giving me the toning where I want. But anyway, you probably can't see the toning quite the way I'm seeing it. I don't know. I'm adjusting the lights. No, she's got more skin tone in her than that. But anyway, it shall be done. So good evening. Oh, that's better with the halogens there. Oh, that's better lighting. Okay. Now I have that glow in the skin that I'm looking for. Anyway, good night. Have a great evening and all that neat stuff. And we'll talk to you later. Ciao.